Again?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So we have 11 presenters today, but we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 presenters. Should we start now or are we going to wait for others? Maybe we should start while waiting for the other to come to this meeting. Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Okay, so welcome to the second International Conference of Progressive Education in University of Lampung, Indonesia. I am Lafisa Devianti as the moderator of today's seminar. I'm very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this international conference. This conference is conducted by University of Lampung, FKIP Universitas Lampung. And then the seminar will discuss about the result of the research in terms of technology and learning innovation. Today we have 5 agenda. The first one is opening and then introduction. After that we have presentation. The fourth will be opening question and answer session, and then the last one is closing. So all of you will present all the material first before we come to the question and answer session. Now to make the time efficient, I will, what's that? To tell you the regulation of the presentation. So each of the presenter will have 10 minutes to present the presentation. And then after the presentation, all of you have done the presentation, we are going to have discussion session and then question and answer. I hope the time is enough. And then I need all of the participants to mute all of the sounds while the presenter is presenting. So there will be no sound disturbing the presenter who is presenting. So thank you so much. We're going to go to the first presenters. There is Hesti Wiranota. Hesti, are you here? Uh, since Hesti is not here yet, maybe Sofia Delphi.
Okay, that's me. I'm here then.
Okay, so time is yours. You have 10 minutes starting from now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, the all presenters for this room then. Good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon for every presenters for this. Okay, well, I'm Professor Desi from Universitas Riau. Okay, so I'm going to present my article entitled Intensive and Extensive Reading for Online Learning During COVID-19 Pandemic. So just for your information, this is the primary study for my further research on reading activities, that the students do during COVID-19 pandemic. Well, we continue. Sorry. So, for introduction for this part, now, as we know that since the middle of March in Indonesia, as most of the other countries, the temporary closures of higher education institutions due to the COVID-19 pandemic are reality that students have that the students have to face them. And they have, so in this case, the students have to be in the context of online teaching and learning process due to social distancing policy in which the country has stopped face-to-face teaching and learning. And this condition makes the learners switch the way how they learn, in which reflect on their reading activities. The students are really expected to know and to apply the appropriate way to do the activity of reading in online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic by considering reading materials and the way how they read. Because in this context, the students are offered a lot of reading materials. Yeah. So one of the possibilities of the success or failure of online instruction relates to student motivation, affecting on how they read. Some students do not know how they read effectively, even though as a university student. Learners are taught through extensive reading approach experience, reading skills, vocabularies, and phonological instruction by reading short reading passages and by reading comprehension. By doing reading comprehension exercises. Okay, and the study also shows that a positive effect of scaffolded reading comprehension on students' performance. However, this study was conducted in offline learning or face-to-face teaching. So there is a question, how about for online learning? How are the students scaffolded? Okay. One of the solutions is by implementing the concept of extensive reading, in which the students select the reading materials by themselves. In contrast to intensive reading, extensive reading shifts the focus on obtaining information which is based on the reader's interest without concentrating on the full comprehension of the text and the sentence structure. It is necessary for readers to pick materials that will take into account their personal individual preferences, context, and individual needs. Study shows that the learners had better and comprehensive learning experiences after implementing reading selection principle. The studies on combination of extensive and intensive reading has proved that it leads to substantial proficiency gains language learning process, while extensive reading aims at fluency, intensive reading aims at accuracy. To the context of COVID-19 pandemic, a study on the necessity of COVID-19 pandemic for online learning in higher education shows that higher education institutions need to adapt to the situation by transforming from physical classroom to online learning. The use of e-books facilities for tertiary level students, English reading aptitude, reading comprehension, vocabulary growth, and overall learning. So for this context, that also has connection to what we listens to question, explanation just now, the need of library. So in this case, we can refer to the context of online learning here. The students actually are offered for online learning materials through online reading materials. Yeah. And then a computer reader program could be a great substitution for a physical library. In order to interpret a text, it shows that students, especially majoring in English, are expected to find how the intensive reading approach and extensive reading approach contribute to reading, especially online learning in COVID-19 pandemic. The study will answer a question, how the inclusion of intensive and extensive reading in practicing reading in the context of learning in COVID-19 pandemic. Methodology for this study. In order to answer the questions of the research, just conduct a library research. And the data were obtained by collecting books and articles relating to intensive and extensive reading in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. The analysis was conducted through descriptive and content analysis. The result of concluding is as the result of analysis of the study and was transcribed in the form of table and narrative as the report for the study. Finding. So for finding here relates to the point that the component gains from intensive and extensive reading approach, okay, and connect to online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, for this, we can see from the points of reading materials for extensive reading, okay, and intensive reading and reading materials for extensive reading. Okay, in intensive reading, the reading materials selected by teacher, okay, and referring to specific linguistic features that we can see from based on the reading material, and identifying key vocabulary looking inside text, and then strategy. Okay, so based on the teachers or lecturer's direction, reading and followed by doing assignment as a classroom activity and selecting reading strategies. Readers are deeply involved in looking inside the text, predicting, visualizing, making connections, summarizing, and questioning. Now, for extensive reading, okay, we can see exactly the difference here. Reading a lot of reading materials. So the materials, okay, the students are suggested to read a lot of and various reading materials, and then the reading materials just chosen by the students. Okay, and the reading materials within the learner's linguistic competence. So in this case, that's the student's choice, and then the students know their direction. Okay, and then the strategies: reading purpose on reason, forward for information, general understanding. Okay, and it's their own reward. That's for the process of reading, and then reading is on phase, and first on reading, orientation reading, and role model. So the students are not directed, but the students should be offered through the model. So the teachers or lecturers are as the role model for the students in practicing extensive reading. Okay.
Ibu, you still have 2 minutes more.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so the finding here refers that reveals that the student, the inclusion of intensive and extensive reading in activities for online learning is in terms of individual activities in reading the materials by implementing the strategies of intensive and extensive reading, including identifying the purpose why the learners read the reading materials selected. Okay, now so based on the table just now, and okay, the finding shows okay, before reading, consider the purposes, reading materials, and reading strategies for reading activities. Okay, so conclusion, the result of analysis found that the inclusion of intensive and extensive reading in reading activities for online learning during COVID-19 pandemic is in terms of individual activities in reading the material by implementing the strategies of intensive and extensive reading, including identify the purpose why the learners read the reading materials. So the study, the findings suggested that a higher education learners need to concern the inclusion of intensive and extensive reading in reading activities for online learning. So the finding of this study is meaningful for further study, as I mentioned earlier, okay, designed on the students' reading activities in COVID-19. Okay, reading is an action based on need and interest. Therefore, include intensive and extensive reading approach for activities of reading, especially for online learning during COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That's all, Ibu.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Sylvia Delphi, for the presentation. Now we go to the next presenter. Okay, before we go to the next presenter, Ibu, can you please stop screen share the PowerPoint? Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Okay, now we go to the next presenter, Ibu Devi Luciana. Ibu Devi, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, okay. So I'll give you 10 minutes to present your presentation. Starting from now. Time is yours.
Ibu Sofia Delvia, can you stop your screen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bu Sofia, can you please stop screen share?
There is no, sorry. No information for that. No word. Did they?
No, still. You still have screen share. You need to click stop screen share, Bu. Or you may close the PowerPoint first.
Oh yeah, on the top, sorry. On the top, I just saw okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Ibu.
Okay, it's okay. Now, Ibu Devi Luciana, time is yours.
Thank you, Ibu. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can see it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, we can see your
Assalamualaikum
screen.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My name is Devi Luciana. I am from Universitas Negeri Medan, North Sumatra. For this occasion, I want to present my paper about college students' response in online learning during pandemic. For introduction, I'll tell you about the background of why I choose this title to be my paper. COVID-19 impact outside of global, almost all aspects are affected by the spread of the coronavirus as well as education in it. As Melissa et al. State that COVID-19 has had a serious impact on students, instructors, and educational organizations around the globe. In line with this matter, World Health Organization has suggested to social and physical distancing as prevention of infection of coronavirus as a solution to break coronavirus.
And my title, the effect
As UNESCO also declares that support countries in their efforts to assuage the immediate impact to school closures, especially for the underprivileged, as well as facilitating the continuity of education for all through distance learning. So, this reason why the social and physical distancing become one of the reasons of implementation of the policy of Indonesian government number 21, 2020 to working from home, praying from home, and study from home for student level from the early childhood education level to higher education. As Basilia and Cavage, online learning can be efficient in digital developing countries. Clark and Meyer also define online learning as the learning which is acquired through the network or computer. In addition, they explain that online learning as a way of teaching where the computer is used as the internet and intranet to acquire individual learning or institutional performance objectives. And Lister also argued that online learning promotes choosing components that help encourage students' learning and allow students to employ with the content. And the study was conducted by using descriptive qualitative method in which the purpose to find out college students' response on distance online learning. And then this is the data of my respondents. The data acquired through question and questionnaire by distributing Google Form application, and the questions were distributed randomly to students across the university. From the distribution and questionnaire, there were 20 college students from 8 universities in Indonesia. There are 17 female and 3 male for grade first semester, third, fifth, seventh, and ninth semester from Unimed, UISU, Universitas Syakuala, Malikul Saleh, until Unrika, Batam. For data analysis, there are 5 problems that will be responded by the respondent. But before we going to the response, that is the reason in this emergency situation, the Ministry of Education and Culture emphasized that health and safety of students, teachers, education staff, and community as the main point. So it means that this response because of the online learning itself. For the first problems is students will respond about how do the students think about online learning during the pandemic. Based on the diagram, the researcher obtained that college students respond that 45% students felt bored with the online learning and 40% felt ordinary and 15% from the respondent felt online was interesting, while there is no students convey online learning during pandemic very interesting to do. So it means that almost students said that it is bored. And then for the second response, what social media are easiest to use to support online learning? There are 4 social media options that are often used in online learning during the pandemic. And it shows that 45% college students choose WhatsApp as the easiest media to support online learning. 30% of them choose Google Classroom, 50% choose Zoom, and 10% choose Google Meet as the media to support online learning during pandemic. And then number 3 is response about what are the common problems during online learning. Here's the response of 20 college students, and I have bold the common problem. And based on the data, almost all students complain about bad network quality and also package of internet, and then misunderstanding about the material presented. And then I also asked the students about the positive impact of learning online during pandemic. Here, the sample 3 students, they still think that there is a positive impact of coronavirus. Despite the many negative effects of pandemic, this emergency still have positive impacts. The college students number 3 that tells that it's more economical because students like me can save money and efficient in using time. And another college student state that materials that can be accessed anywhere and anytime and can be learned while doing relaxing activities such as eating, listening music, sleeping, and reduce boredom. And another college students tell that we are not limited by time and space. Based on the college students' response, the research concludes that positive impact of pandemic in online learning as follow. They can access their learning anywhere and anytime. Online learning can save time, transportation funds. They can also together with their family and increasing aware the importance technology, and learning is not limited by time and space, and they can study it while doing another activities. And the last response is about, does online learning increase students' enthusiasm for learning? Here the results. 95% of college students do not interest in online learning. So it means that just 5 students who tell that it is interest. It proves that online learning does not increase their enthusiasm for learning. It means that direct interaction is still the preferred choice for students. So I conclude that for all the response, it means WhatsApp is still the best, easiest social media for online learning use. And then learning does not increase, online learning, doesn't increase the enthusiasm of learning. And the main problem of online learning is network. So it means that network becomes the main problem of this online learning. Okay, that's all about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Ibu Devi Luciana. Now we come to the next presenter, Ibu Friska Pakpahan, who will present the challenges of online teaching amid the COVID-19 pandemic, vocational high school teachers' view. Ibu Friska, you have 10 minutes to present your presentation. And I would like to remind all of you to please mute all the sounds so that it will not disturb the presenters.
Okay, thank you, Ibu.
Okay, time is yours.
Okay, dear presenters and participants and moderator, can you see my slide?
Not yet. It's still blank.
I don't know what's going on. I have
I still
shared.
cannot see the PowerPoint. Wait.
Oh.
Baru.
Sebentar, suruh kontrol ini. Suruh benerin. Ini udah keluar, suruh ngulangin. Kan sampean sejauh host. Di view ini dipaksa keluarin dulu, stop, suruh share screen ulang lagi. Nah kan
Okay,
keluar.
Ibu, can you please try again?
Yes, I'm trying, Ibu.
Okay.
Have you seen my slide?
Not yet. Still blank.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with my slide. Oh.
Yeah, it seems that something wrong with your PowerPoint so that we cannot see the PowerPoint.
Oh my.
Now, okay, now we can see you. We can see your PowerPoint now.
Can you see Ibu Rafista?
Yes, yes. Now I can see your PowerPoint.
God.
Okay, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Can I start, Ibu?
Yes, of course.
Okay. This is my paper, The Challenges of Online Teaching Amid the COVID-19 Pandemic, Vocational High School Teachers View. So, I'm Friska Pakpahan from Universitas Negeri Medan. Thank you very much for the second International Conference on Progressive Education, who give me time to present my paper. And this is a big chance for us to elaborate and to train our writing skill. I will start from my introduction. The situation in general education in this country has changed caused by COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic pushed the teachers to work from home. Teachers have to try to find a suitable strategy to teach their students. Technology is taking part a lot in this case. Ready or not, teachers have to learn more about technology as their media to catch their students in teaching online. Absolutely. The teachers find their challenges in online teaching, even the teachers from vocational high school. In the study, the researcher will investigate the challenges are faced by the teachers from the vocational high school teachers' view. They have their own challenges. The challenges found are various in which they are related to the students, the teachers, and the facilities. The problems here, what is the teacher's challenge in online teaching amid COVID-19 pandemic? And how is the teacher's experience in online teaching amid COVID-19 pandemic? The study focuses on identifying and analyzing the challenges of online teaching amid pandemic. based on vocational high school teachers' view. The objective of the study is to identify and analyze the challenges of teaching online from vocational high school teachers' view, then share their experiences in teaching online amid COVID-19 pandemic. Theoretically, this study is expected to enrich the reader comprehending and analyzing about online teaching with the challenges teachers face. Practically, this study shows the result of identifying the challenges of teaching in online amid COVID-19 pandemic and how they solve them creatively. Review of literature. Many best practice approaches used in traditional classroom settings also can be effectively applied in the virtual environment. How they are applied to online teaching and learning differs. Goodyear 2001. So if as a teacher you are just beginning or perhaps deciding to reset, you need not discard all of the effective practices you currently use in your face-to-face classes. This pandemic has impacted the routine of the teachers and students in the learning system. Governments make restrictions to avoid the spread of COVID-19 virus. Distance teaching or using online systems have provided solutions for schools that are starting to implement the school from home or SFH system. Amid the implementations of online teaching since March, COVID-19 started. Up to now, schools with all the systems inside face many obstacles or challenges. Teachers, as the spearhead of the implementation of online learning, must be able to condition all instructional components. This include instructional methods, media that will be used in learning. Research methodology. This study were conducted by using descriptive qualitative method. This is a survey research where the researchers share questionnaire through Google Forms sent randomly to the teachers who teach in vocational high school. The data of this study were the responses of the teachers in questionnaire which sent by Google Form. The data source were 20 teachers from vocational high school in Sidikalang Dairi, North Sumatra. The research variable were the challenges of online teaching amid COVID-19 pandemic from teachers' view in vocational high school. The steps of the analysis included making questionnaire in Google Form, sending the form to the teachers randomly, identifying the responses from Google Form, then analyzing the responses descriptively. So there are 7 questions that I deliver in Google Form for the teachers. The first one is the research findings and discussions. First, what tools teachers usually use in online teaching? So we can see from the diagram, based on the diagram above shown that 70% teachers use smartphone or handphone as their tool in online teaching, and 30% use laptop, while tablet and iPad were not used in online teaching by the respondents or teachers. So we can conclude that smartphone is the most dominant tool the teachers use. 2. Which is the most challenging for you as a teacher to apply from the teaching systems below? There are 3 kinds of teaching systems in the study. They are online, offline, and blended. It's shown that 45% respondents said that offline is the most challenging teaching system to apply, and then 40% say that blended is the most challenging for them, and the rest is online teaching system is only 15%. 3. As a teacher, what teaching system that you like most? So from the diagram, we can find here, then about teaching system that they like most among 3 systems. 85% they chose offline system, and 15% say that they like most blended, and no one chose online. Number 4, what platform do you usually use in online teaching? There are 5 kinds of platforms that were usually used by teachers in online teaching. They are WhatsApp, Zoom, Google Classroom, Google Meet, and YouTube. Based on the diagram above, we can see 75% use WhatsApp as their platform in teaching online, 20% use Google Classroom, and 5% only use Zoom as their platform. 5. Do you feel satisfied as a teacher by online teaching amid pandemic? Give your own reasons. From the results shown that 19 respondents said no, they were not satisfied to teach by online, and only 1 respondent said yes. While the most dominantly reasons we can see is no handphone, no data, and bad signal, others say that no feedback from students and parents. 6. Are the students being active in your online teaching amid pandemic? From the results shown that mostly all the teachers said that their students were only a part being active in their online teaching. Some said not active at all, and others said that sometimes. 7. What are the challenges in online teaching amid COVID-19 pandemic? Teachers certainly face challenges and obstacles amid this pandemic COVID-19 to do their online teaching. Respondents or teachers gave various opinions about this. Some of them here, students do not have gadgets, teachers can't teach strictly, making learning video, bad networks or signal. Teachers can't see students' experience directly whether they understand or not with the material. And for the conclusion, And then for the next is lack of students' motivation, teaching strategy, lack of parents' effort, lack of students' feedback, students do not have internet data, economic condition. Mostly they said bad network or signal and no gadget with the quota also. Others said lack of learning motivation from students and also lack of parents' effort with their children to do online learning. Discussion. The study was conducted to analyze the challenges of online teaching amid COVID-19 pandemic from teachers' perspective who teach in vocational high school. Based on the data analysis, it was found that tool usually used dominantly by the teacher is smartphone and laptop. And then the most challenging teaching system for them is offline. And the last is online. But the teaching system that they like most is offline and blended, while no one choose online teaching. That the platform they often use in online teaching is WhatsApp, Google Classroom, and Zoom. About their satisfaction in online teaching, all of the teachers say not satisfied at all. In online teaching, they also find that their students less active and not effective in their learning activity. Conclusion and suggestion. Teachers have their various challenges in applying online teaching because this pandemic won't stop them to teach. Teachers try to find their suitable strategy to face learning amid COVID-19 pandemic. Smartphone with application WhatsApp is the most they choose to use in online. Ready or not, teachers have to face and receive online teaching as their adaptation toward pandemic. This research was a small representation of vocational high school teachers who teach online amid COVID-19 pandemic. Teachers expect more supportive online learning system from government. Then they suggest the parents will be more inactive to support their children in online learning. Thank you. That's all my presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Bu Siska Pakpahan, for the presentation. Now we move to the next presenter, Ibu Marhama. Ibu Marhama, are you here? I'm not sure if Bu Marhama is here. Maybe we can skip her. Maybe she will join with us later on. Now we go to Bapak Edi Haryono. Bapak Edi Haryono, are you here? It seems that Edi Haryono is also not here. And then we go to Ibu Novita Eka Kristiana. Ibu Novita,
yes,
okay.
I am here.
Okay,
so thank you.
Novita will present students' response on the utilization of Google Classroom for online class in University of Muhammadiyah Pringsewu, sorry. So, Bu Novita, you have 10 minutes to present your paper. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the chance given to me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, well, today I would like to present my article entitled The Student Responses on the Utilization of Google Classroom for Online Class. Actually, this research was conducted by two researchers. The first is me and the second my father. The background of the problem why I conducted this research, because of the new condition, the COVID-19 ramping up its spread as the newest pandemic in this world. Nobody's know that there will be a pandemic, so this condition forced all of the school, all of the university to choose the virtual classroom or to choose the platform in order to establish teaching and learning process. And in this case, since the middle of March, the students of University of Muhammadiyah Prinsewu, they didn't study at university, but they should study at home. So there are some platform used for teaching. One of the platform used was the Google Classroom. So today, or in this research, I would like to focus on the Google Classroom for the platform. The objective of the research, first, how do the student respond? And then the second, how do this affect for the students? And the third one, what does the student think about the current situation or ERT, the government, the school, the parents, and the policy? The research method here was qualitative paradigm in which the researcher used case study. And then from the result of discussion, here there are 5 main points. The first point is the student's first impression on the Google Classroom. There are various responses, such as the student feel confused, use this new platform, and then some of the students say that they feel boring, and then the motivated students said that Google Classroom was challenging, and some people or some students say that this helpful and fun, and they feel motivated with the Google Classroom. This condition or this result is in line with the result by Harvard and Tesorerio, who said that the study would lead a more effective teaching style that align educational goal and criteria with desired student impression. So basically, the student have the positive impression, especially for the using of Google Classroom for teaching. And the second one, the student personal opinion on the Google Classroom. They have various opinion, like they say that the Google Classroom is a good platform with the complete facilities, and they feel that this is easy to use, and then saving the data compared with another platform. And not only the positive response one, but the student who live far away or in the remote area, they say that the bad internet connection make the classroom is not easy for use by them. And next is about the teacher performance. Because of this still new platform, and then the teacher should get accustomed to use the Google Classroom at the first time the teacher use. Sometimes some students say that the teachers are not competent enough for using it. According to Arzianto, AS, and Sumani in 2019, which asserted that the most students amounting to 56 until 8% agree that reaching the factor of usefulness, the Google Classroom is useful. So the result of this research is in line with the previous research. And the effectiveness on the utilization of Google Classroom in learning process, there are 3 main points based on the finding. The first, effective as long as both of the lecturer and also the student follow the procedure well. And then the second one, Google Classroom is more effective than the other application like using of WhatsApp. And then the last one, the effective youth debates of internet connection. So this is the weakness of the using of Google Classroom. And according to Alim et al., also mentioned that Google Classroom is very useful in improving student abilities and skill of students. Students can learn by themselves through guidance. So based on the previous research, say that this will be effective when the teacher use the Google Classroom for teaching, as long as both of the teacher and student can cooperate using the facilities in Google Classroom. And then what should the lecturer do in improving the performance using Google Classroom? Some students suggest lecturers should be more creative, and some of them also said that lecturers should be balanced in giving the material and the tasks. But because of based on the experience when the student studied by using the Google Classroom, the teacher only use like some of the lecturers use it only for checking the attendance and also give the tasks, but they don't use the suitable material for the student to study. And then the lecturer should give video and increase the ability and ICT. So this is one of the the solution given by the students in order to make the Google Classroom process more interactive and also more attractive. So not only giving the material only use some doc, but the students also suggest the lecturer to make the video, their own video of learning process, and for doing so that the lecturers should increase the reliability in ICT. So the previous research, Severance, I&M et al., the response strongly agreed that term useful of Google Classroom, the feedback provided by the lecturer is very useful. So based on the previous research, since the feedback given by the lecturer in Google Classroom is very useful, that's why the attractive and also interactive process for communication or for teaching is very important, so the student can understand well. So the attractive video and attractive and also the direct and the direct comment or direct feedback given by the lecturer is so important. So the facilities like the classroom facilities and also the tasks given by the Google Classroom can provide how to give the direct feedback for the students. So the lecturer can use it as long as the lecturer understands well how to use the Google Classroom. So this brings the advantages and also disadvantages of the utilization of Google Classroom. Since this is easy to use, can use for interactional teaching process, and the last, the quiz and the tasks are recorded well. But not only the benefits, this also have the weaknesses, such as the connectivity for the remote area student will make the student are not easy to access the Google Classroom. Of course, because of the data used for the internet connection, so the student consume the internet data. So the conclusion, the student have various response of the use of Google Classroom as the application on online class in pandemic era. The first impression when the student use the Google Classroom, they felt confused because of the situation is different from the real class. It's still new, so the students should get accustomed to use it. And next, the student opinion on the platform Google Classroom is a good platform, but they need to have good internet connection to access it. And some students have problem on it. They also mentioned that this platform is effective for teaching as long as the teacher can maximize the function of Google Classroom. Well, thank you for the chance given to me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Novita Eka Kristiana, for the presentation. Now we go to the next presenter, Bapak Suroto. Okay, let me check whether he's here or not. I don't think Pak Suroto is here, so maybe we should go to the next. Yeah, Pak Suroto is not here. Okay, we go to the next presenter. That is Ibu Ais Nurbanati. Are you here, Ibu? Yes, okay. Ibu Ais is here.
Okay, I'm here.
We'll present the use of mobile device in the school for learning and teaching system. I'll give you 10 minutes to present the presentation. Ibu, time is yours.
Thank you, moderator. Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Ibu, I'm sorry, but I
Waalaikumsalam.
cannot see your PowerPoint. Okay, now I can see it.
You can see PowerPoint?
Okay. Yes, now I can see it.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say thank you for joining in my presentation. It's great to see you all in Zoom, via Zoom. Let me introduce myself. My name is Eis Nurbanati. I'm from Lampung University. The purpose of my presentation is to resume the usefulness of the mobile device in the learning and teaching system. Look at that. My title, the article, The Use of Mobile Device, the School for Learning and Teaching System, is Nurbanati, Hasan Hariri, Rizwanti Rini, Sowia, and Eni Setiawati. Okay. The first, abstract. Purpose, tourism, that the usefulness of the mobile device in the learning teaching system area, research methodology, by using research and review method. Process begin with a search engine, Google Scholar, and IEEE article with keyword. Result. The result of the study largely saw a positive and significant effect between the use of mobile device in the school for learning and teaching system. Limitation, since the study includes many cases, further research could include performing such a case study on integration with the curriculum and management information system in a school. Okay, the first introduction. With respect to technologies, mobile generally means portable and personal, like a mobile phone. In some countries, the use of m-learning for students located in remote place is taken as an advantage from communication and for media content development. Mobile learning refers to the use of mobile learning device such as smartphone, personal digital assistant, tablet, PC, laptop, and portable computers. The purpose of the current study was to evaluate the efficiency on the integrating mobile technology in learning environment. This literature review configuration was how the use mobile technology facilitate education content for learning and teaching system. Third, research methodology. This literature focus on the use mobile device in the school for learning and teaching system. By use search and review method, the review process begin with a search engine, Google Scholar, and IEEE to search for article with keyword Android, mobile device, learning and teaching system. The criteria for inclusion in the study were as follow: quantitative result or relationship between the use mobile device and learning teaching system. The research was conducted in the world. The research used English language. Research and thesis are excluded. Okay. And then, research methodology. The first, identification, scanning, eligibility, and then including. a total of 307 articles were retrieved from the literature search. There were 2,183 articles from search engine, 1,566 articles from IEEE, and 1,558 articles from Google Scholar, among 5,307 articles, 686 which include and 236 were identification based on the title and abstract review. A total of 40 articles were full review by the research expert for maybe 1,081 articles without full text, among 236 articles, among them 141 were no mobile learning, no Android, no learning and teaching system. A total of 12 articles were finally selected, and among them the follow diagram of the study selection system literature review process in shown in figure. Okay, next. So in table 1, this is literature review focus on the use mobile device in the school for learning and teaching system by using column for others, and then years, country, and then method of research and sample result. The use of mobile device, example, learning and teaching system. Result and discussion. Based on the finding from this literature review, found that in peer review journal has revealed that the overall effect of using mobile device in education is better than when using desktop computer or not using mobile device as an intervention. Research on the influence the use mobile device in the school for learning and teaching system has been carried out in various organizing and in various countries. By the use of mobile learning system provides target student with the opportunity to obtain any and all train related materials and information on their mobile device through a simple process. Features of communicating with partners and tutor and until use mobile communication network technology. Finally, conclusion. In the world that is increasingly reliant on connectivity and access to information, mobile devices are revolutionary because they transcend the boundaries of the structural status of classroom and lecture halls and their associated mode of communication. In this mobile learning system requires reconciliation of the connecting among the component of technology, educational context, and missions. For example, learning and teaching process, or example, curriculum, and use, for example, teacher and student. Furthermore, most learning activities using mobile device has been controlled by the teacher, with there being only a handful and learning center project in existence. Considering the communication function, very few projects have made any use of cooperator or team communication. The last, limitation and study forward. Okay, since this study includes many cases, further research could include performing such a case study on integration with the curriculum and management information system in the school. The next step, I hope in our work is to add more interaction function and knowledge management tools into this system. We truly believe that mobile learning will be an ideal learning style to facilitate our learning. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much. Great attention. Come back to moderator. Thank you. Hatur nuhun. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Ais Nurbanati, for the presentation. Now we come to the next presenter, that is Ho Zohan, who will present a comprehensive review of the methodological quality in MALL study. Yes. Okay, you have 10 minutes to present your presentation. Time is yours.
Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, I can see your slide. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation about the methodological quality in MALL studies. Okay. So it's a review research proposed by me, AMA students, and Professor Wahid Ariadust from the National Institute of Education, Singapore. So at the beginning, we would like to share our understanding of mobile-assisted language learning as a flexible, continuing, adaptive language learning process with easy access to language learning materials supported by mobile devices. And this is what it is. Then what can mobile devices do for language learning? So here we present examples from two categories of the popular smart usage of popular smartphone applications. One is content-based, another one is interaction-based, and you can see the example there, YouTube and Twitter. So it would suggest that mobile devices can help to lower down learners' cognitive load and increase their motivation and facilitating the process of receiving effective feedback and the construction of pedagogical connections with lessons for additional practice. So I think presently under the COVID-19 circumstances, both teachers, learners, and researchers all can further understand the affordance of more, or what can mobile devices do for our learning or language learning, right? So in the literature, researchers has been trying to synthesize the trend of more research. And here we made a list of several reviewed features, including firstly, the technologies or mobile devices used for language learning in research. And the second one is the aspect related to learning, for example, learning outcomes or learning environments, for example, like the construction of situational learning and the cooperative learning assisted by mobile devices. And the final one are several descriptive features related to methodology, such as the type of your research design or the data collection method and the duration of the experiment. So we found presently there is no review on the methodological quality of more research. By saying methodological quality, here we mean the adherence to standards of contextually appropriate methodological rigor in research practices, transparent and complete reporting of such practices. So we try to examine the statistical practices in the context of more research and the reporting of their statistical practices. So here come our research questions. Number one, what are the specific statistical techniques in more research for data analysis? Well, number two, looking into the statistical assumptions of the test from the family of general linear models that were investigated by more researchers. So we start from a broad literature search using online database Scopus, and you can see our searching terms. It's a combination of two word lists, and initially we were able to find 174 papers. So using Prisma, here show you a Prisma flow chart. You can see finally we got 77 research papers which were peer-reviewed journal articles and using quantitative research method and focusing on the EFL or ESL's process. So this, all of the 77 research were coded using a self-designed coding scheme. This table is just part of our coding scheme, but you can tell from the title, we define the codes and the descriptive features and some principal statistical assumptions. This is our research question 2, well, this one is for research question 1. So here are the findings from this table. We can see the numbers of papers using the related methods. So we found that t-test was the most widely used one, followed by correlation and some non-parametric analysis. And also starting actually from multiple regression analysis to down to t-test. This group of tests actually are the members of general linear models. And from this pie chart, we can tell from t-test, the blue one, to the orange one, regression analysis, they actually composed over half of all the tests applied in more research, which means actually general linear models are the dominant method used in more research. That's for research question 1. And question 2 about the assumption investigation. This table just an example for the normality assumptions. As you can see, we categorize all the research based on their target language scales, and we count the frequency, and we can see here it's quite low, only around 20%. The findings for research question 1, let me repeat again. Question 1, so the statistical techniques within the domain of general linear model account for the majority of more research. And among the tests within the GLM domain, t-test and ANOVA are the top 2 tests used in more research. Well, for the statistical assumptions, we found that even though they are the basic conditions to draw reliable statistic inferences in GLM applications, but researchers rarely look into this aspect, so these assumptions were generally overlooked. And like the former parts, like we indicate a wide application of t-test and ANOVA. This actually indicates a broader range of univariate analysis. This analysis may be useful, they could be useful, but they overlook the multivariate nature of the investigated phenomenon. Here we are talking about the context of more research, right? So by saying multivariate nature, I mean, we all know with the usage of advanced technologies or devices, actually in this application makes the learning process into a more complex process for research, right? So there are multiple factors that could affect the learning outcome. For example, the presentation mode of your material and the devices you used, and some traditional factors like the gender or the language learners, their language learning proficiency. So if you just use a single t-test, that means a univariate analysis here, that means it is possible that the positive findings or results you gained could be caused by other factors instead of the one that you're investigating. And another problem for univariate analysis, here taking t-test as an example, is its dichotomous interpretation of the difference as significant or non-significant, because it can only supply limited information and is considered as crude and uninformative. For example, actually, this interpretation cannot tell the reader like how much effect was gained from the investigated factor or variables, especially when the researchers fail to supply the results with the report of effect size, which is the value to show the practical significance of your investigated factor or the magnitude of the effect of your investigated variable or factors. So we encourage the application of more advanced multivariant analysis, for example, regression. It is considered as a both conceptually and statistically suitable statistical techniques. By looking into more factors or taking more factors into consideration at the same time in your research, we believe it is very helpful to explore the multivariate nature of the research in mobile assisted language learning. Well, for the assumptions part, we encourage researchers to investigate the related assumptions of the usage of certain parametric statistical methods. Otherwise, your findings or your results might not be very reliable, but some researchers might argue like the robustness of ANOVA and the t-test, they are very robust to counter the violations of several assumptions. Actually, this robustness is only valid under certain circumstances. Here, give you an example. T-test is robust against the normality violations when the homogeneity of variance, which is another assumptions for t-test, is satisfied under equal or similar sample size designs. So as we can see, actually, this to maintain the robustness of t-test or ANOVA or other parametric statistical methods, you need to prepare your data under certain complex circumstances. So we suggest that you should always investigate and report the results of your investigations on the related assumptions. If you find a violation, you can choose to turn to the alternative non-parametric test or choose to change or transform your data a little bit, but be cautious about that, or choose to delete the outliers in your data. And finally, I want to conclude my presentation by repeating these implications again. Please stay cautious to the application and interpretation of t-test and report effect size is a value, statistical value, to indicate the practical significance of your investigation, and always investigate and make clear report of the related assumptions. And the final one, I think this one is quite practical. So while you are designing your experiment, please use a similar, design your, the sample size of your experiment in a similar or equal manner, because it is related to the robustness of the test you used, especially for parametric test. And here we supply an equation. So you can use this equation we adopted from Hare's book. You can use this equation to check whether the differences between your the groups of in your sample size, whether this difference could affect your results, the robustness of your test. And that is my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Here are the references. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ho Zohan, for your presentation. Okay, now we go to the last presenters, last but not least, Lim Hui, with the title, A Scientometric Analysis of Publics on Computer-Assisted Language Learning, or CALL.
Can you see my screen?
Okay, yeah, so you have 10 minutes to present your presentation. Time is yours.
Fahi and I did a research on a cytometric analysis of applications on computer-assisted language learning. Computer-assisted language learning includes many types of technologies such as blogs, emails, wikis, WhatsApp, video conferencing, podcasts, and so on. We conducted this study, the aim of this study was to conduct a cytometric review of the applications on computer-assisted language learning from past to present. First, we searched for publications using Scopus. We conducted 2 rounds of data search in Scopus on 3rd July 2020 and obtained descriptive statistics of the database. For the first round, we included 4 core journals, and for the second round, we included 7 non-core journals. For the second round, we limited the search results to language, reading, listening, writing, speaking, grammar, and vocabulary. Here's the search code for the core journals, and this is the search code for specific aspects of language learning for non-core journals. For the specific aspects of language learning for non-core journals, we just replace the highlighted yellow part with specific aspects of language learning. We found 2,284 articles from the 4 core journals and 1,413 articles from the non-core journals. For the non-core journals, there were 31 articles related to language, 384 articles related to reading, 59 articles related to listening, 317 articles related to writing, 69 articles on speaking, 44 articles on grammar, and 95 articles on vocabulary. We found that the number of publications on computer-assisted language learning has increased exponentially from 1977 to 2020. There were close to 0 publications on computer-assisted language learning in 1977, but there were more than 200 publications on computer-assisted language learning in 2019. These are the top 3 authors, countries, and universities. It's no surprise that United States of America, United Kingdom, and Taiwan have the 3 most highest number of publications because they were also the largest countries, one of the largest countries. Next, we exported the data from Scopus to CiteSpace. The data were converted from RIS format to Web of Science format, and the conversion rate is very high at 99%. CiteSpace identified major research areas in computer-assisted language learning, the more cohesive research areas, the foci of the more cohesive research areas, and the more and less beneficial technologies for language learning. We found 27 major research clusters. The smaller the cluster number, the larger the size of the cluster. The clusters were advanced learner, cell phone, other site, empirical link, extramural digital context, interaction pattern, mobile-assisted language learning, listening activities, data-informed language learning, teaching grammar, learning outcome, reading comprehension, non-native speaker interaction, English language teaching, multiple learner error, investigating application, and electronic portfolio. The largest 7 clusters were also the most cohesive 7 clusters. Advanced learner focused specifically on synchronous computer-mediated communication or negotiated learning. Cell phone focused on multimedia. Other side focused on telecollaboration or email exchanges. Empirical link focused on blogs. Extramural digital context focused on digital games. Interaction pattern focused on wikis. And mobile-assisted language learning focused on podcasts. We also found that some technologies are more beneficial for language learning. The more beneficial technologies include synchronous computer-mediated communication or negotiated interaction, multimedia, telecollaboration or email exchange, and digital games. And the less beneficial technologies include blogs, wikis, and podcasts. There were more articles that supported the more beneficial technologies and less articles that supported the advantages of the less beneficial technologies. Our study is not without limitations. We identified three main limitations. First, our study did not include unpublished studies. We included only publications from Scopus, and we only included publications from 3 core journals and 11 non-core journals. In conclusion, we found that technology is beneficial for language learning. We also found that synchronous computer-mediated communication or negotiated interaction, multimedia, telecollaboration or email exchanges, digital games are more beneficial than blogs, wikis, and podcasts. Lastly, we wish to acknowledge the funding support for this project from Nanyang Technological University under the Undergraduate Research Experience on Campus Eureka program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. Wait a minute. Okay, actually we still have 3 more presenters, Ibu Marhama, and Bapak Edi Haryono, and also Bapak Suroto, but it seems that those 3 persons cannot come to... Wait a minute. Okay, so it seems that they cannot come to the presentation today, so we will go to the next session, that is question and answer session. If there is a question from the audience and also from the presenters, please feel free to ask some questions. You may raise your hand and ask personally, or you may chat on the chat column. Okay, any question so far? So we have 11 presenters here in this meeting. The first one is Ibu Hesti Wiranota. The title is The International Student Perception Towards Learning Mandarin Using the Tencent Meeting During COVID-19 Outbreak. Unfortunately, the presenter cannot come. And then Ibu Sylvia Delphi, Intensive and Extensive Reading for Online Learning During COVID-19 Pandemic. Ibu Devi Luciana, College Students' Responses in Online Learning During Pandemic as the third presenters. And then Ibu Friska Pakpahan. The title of the presentation is The Challenges of Online Teaching Amid the COVID-19 Pandemic, Vocational High School Teachers' View. And then the fifth presenters, Ibu Marhama, Android-Based Educative Game Development as a Learning Media of Economics. Unfortunately, Ibu Marhama cannot come. And then Bapak Edi Haryono. The title of the presentation is Cartography and GIS Literacy Skills in Reading and Making Digital Maps for Geography Education Students in ICOPE Lampung University. Unfortunately, we cannot come to. And then we have Ibu Novita Eka Kristiana with the title of the presentation is Students' Response on the Utilization of Google Classroom for Online Class in University of Muhammadiyah Pringsewu. And then Bapak Suroto, who cannot come. The title is Design-Based Learning Media Android Application to Boost Cultural Indigenous Knowledge of Lampung. And then Ibu Ais Nurbanati. The title is The Use of Mobile Device in School for Learning and Teaching System. And then Ms. Ho Zhouhan. The title of the presentation is A Comprehensive Review of the Methodological Quality in MAU Study. And then the last one, Lim Hoi from Singapore. With the title of the presentation is a scientometric analysis of publication on computer-assisted language learning. So we have 11 presenters here. If once again, I'm asking you if you have question for the presenters, or another presenters, please feel free to ask the question personally here or chat on the column chat. No question? No question? So actually I found the last two presenter is interesting. The comprehensive review of the methodological quality in MOL study and also the scientometric analysis of publication on computer-assisted language learning. Usually, I read the publication is only about the MOL study itself, but not really, never read about the comprehensive review and also the scientometric analysis. So it seems like it's interesting. Are you going to publish this one in some journal, not here? If yes, if it is published, please let me know. I want to read the full version of this one. Okay, so there is no question. I think we are at the end of our session. I'm gonna remind you once again that at 3:30, we're going to have another two keynote speakers who are going to present their presentation. So please join the link in the at 3:30 in Indonesian Western Time. We also will give you the link for the attendance list and also the link for the certificate for those who haven't filled in the link. The link, yeah. Untuk mempertegas kembali, silakan Bapak Ibu bisa join ke dalam panel session yang akan diadakan jam 15.30. Kita masih punya dua keynote speaker lagi, Dr. Hisam dan juga Profesor Habil Andrea Bensik. So, Bapak Ibu juga dapat mengisi attendance list dan juga certificate untuk kami data Bapak Ibu beneran hadir atau tidak. Okay, thank you so much for your attendance and also your participation in this Zoom meeting. See you when I see you. Goodbye, everyone. So I leave. Okay, bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, I leave the meeting.
Okay, we do.
Bye.
Bye.
Mbak Ais, papernya bagus. Nanti dilanjutin lagi ya.
Siap, siap. Ya, Pak Rizal.
Ya, ya sudah.
Bye-bye. See you.
Di mana, Pak? Halo, Pak
Ya,
Rizal.
Bu, sudah bagus ya. Nanti bisa dilanjutkan lagi.
Ya, terima kasih.
ID-nya Pak. Pak.
Oke.
Oh, link Zoom-nya sama Ibu. Jadi tetap pakai yang pagi seperti pleno tadi pagi.
Sama linknya Pak. Ya.
Sama Bu. Ya. Kita mulai jam 15:15.
Yang tadi pagi ya Pak ya, linknya?
Iya,
pagi.
yang tadi pagi.
Baik Pak.
Ya, iya.
Terima kasih.
Ibu. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.